What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Has everyone calmed down? How's everyone feeling?
Yeah.
Whew, I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but I can barely breathe. I can barely breathe after that. It's just like, I mean, what a game, guys. I mean, so I've got DJ and Jack with me here. Everyone settle in. Everyone settle in. This is a safe place. We can all calm down. Smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. I mean, I'll start off with you, DJ. I mean, broad strokes, we will get into the nitty-gritty as always, but broad strokes, what did you make of that? Where'd you start?
Wow. To be honest, the scoreline is what I predicted. I did think we'd win 2-1. And I knew we'd have to sort of like get in the mud, roll our sleeves up and really dig out a performance here and a result. West Ham are dogged and, Moyes is always going to have something to prove. In terms of how the game went, regular symptoms of Manchester United, again, some of our limitations were on full display again today. Did play some good passages of play here and there, some great passing by Bruno. I thought he had a good game. But overall, we did what we expected to do. Like, we need to win games like West Ham away and stuff like that. And again, that sort of away unbeaten record is still there. So, the game was kind of what I relatively expected.
Jack, what did you think? I mean, you can't, because like this behind the scenes, but the moment Jack came, he started coughing. I think I was just trying to catch his breath. What did you make of that?
I don't really know where to start. Really, I think the game. I'm sure we'll get into it more, but the second half kind of ebbed and flowed, and we had so much of the ball. And I was thinking back to obviously West Ham played on Thursday night, and we've obviously had since Tuesday. So I thought fatigue would come into it in the second half, but I totally agree with DJ. I think the game was kind of, we had to really dig in, and I still think. We were just talking about it before we came on air, but the midfield kind of two, we're still kind of, you're wondering kind of the transition between defence and attack is still a little bit misty at times. I think when Matic came on, actually, he's really good at kind of breaking up the lines. And even for Jesse's goal, like you could see, even just bringing Matic on. I was a little bit, in terms of the substitutions, again, I think we could have made them earlier. I think kind of Sancho and Lingard could have come on a lot earlier. I think, when did we make the subs? About 72, 73 minutes. Too late on in the game for me. But the game was there for the taking, and Jesse's goal was great. It was just the fact that I'm lost for words, literally lost for words. But when Luke did that, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking it is a penalty. Like, I don't really know why he's got his hands up there anyway. And you know what? United surprised me on so many occasions before, but I really did think Noble was going to step up and just slot that away a little bit, bringing him on just for the penalty. But David De Gea, I know everyone's going to be at me, like people are at my Twitter already about it.
It's so good that you're on it. It's so good that you're on it.
Dean Henderson.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't sit here. Yeah, I can't sit here and force a Dean Henderson agenda when I'm not going to lie. Obviously, if I'm talking up Dean Henderson, he did get COVID at an unfortunate time. But boys, David De Gea, of course, is reaffirmed as our number one now. Like, he's put in some solid performances. I'm sure we'll talk about players that maybe didn't show up as much today, like Maguire, like DJ was saying, like before we came on air, like sometimes a little bit just lackluster with the ball, especially in the air. But yeah, at the end of the day, boys, it's one of them when you look back on the season and you look back at pivotal moments, and this will definitely be one of them. And at the end of the day, we've got 3 points. That's really all that matters, and really, really important as well to bounce back. Not just keep the away run going, but bounce back after the disappointment of Tuesday night.
100%. I mean, we'll get into moments in the game, but obviously ending with that penalty. I think a lot of frustration from Manchester United fans will be not necessarily the Luke Shaw decision itself, because for me, nowadays that's a penalty. That's a penalty. His arm's out, and the moment, like they said, the moment you go, okay, you're going to have to go to watch on the monitor, you go, he's going to give it, and it is a penalty. The frustrating thing for me is I don't know in what reality that Ronaldo penalty, like 90 seconds before. I mean, how is that not a penalty? I don't see how. He just got hacked out. He just got completely hacked down. He just got slide tackle, and it kind of felt like VAR and the referee just sort of went, game's over. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Game's over. And then it came back to bite. It could have came back to bite him. I mean, DJ, what do you think? I mean, is there any way that that's not a penalty?
It's a penalty, 100%. Do you know what I think? the FA and everyone involved has sort of given themselves sort of like a grave in a sense with the rules, because they've changed the rules now. So we need to know specifically what constitutes as a penalty, because a couple of the penalty claims that Ronaldo had, I do think he sort of like tried to initiate contact on one of the occasions.
That first one, I agree with you. That first one, he legs out, but he going, I'll tell you what, I'll try and get a penalty.
Yeah, and I can see that's fair. Yeah, and I can see why that wasn't given. Last season, it probably would have been given, and I think, they looked at the league last season and said, actually, we've given away so many penalties, not just Manchester United, but overall in the league last season, there was a lot of penalties that were given for little things like that Ronaldo one there. But the second one is a stonewall penalty. I don't know what type of rules, if you want to change the rules from like 97 to 2021 right now, if you look through the rules, that is still a penalty consistently all the way through, and it wasn't given. And I do think it's because, and there's a few things, I do think it's because it's Cristiano Ronaldo, where referees kind of, he's under a little bit more scrutiny than other forwards when it comes to, being awarded penalties. Definitely a penalty in my book. I just don't understand. And I would suspect that Oli and his coaching staff would be having words with the ref after the game, like, what you playing at? Because again, if that's not a penalty, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, what did you think of it? I mean, like we just said, that first Ronaldo one, because I saw a lot of debate about that, because a lot of people were saying that first Ronaldo one was a pen. I mean, what side of the fence do you sit on that one?
The third, we're not talking about the one. As I say, it's all been a bit scrambled, but the one we're saying is a penalty is the Zuma one at the end, aren't we? Where he doesn't play the ball. So 100% agree. 100%. The first Ronaldo one was.
First Ronaldo one is where the legs out. I can't remember which defender it is, but the legs out, and Ronaldo. There is contact, but it's one of those ones where Ronaldo sees that the leg's out, and he sort of puts his leg out as well. And I saw a lot of people going, well, contact. And it's kind of a case of like,
I know which one you mean. The one where he kind of, but you almost think, because it's Cristiano Ronaldo and the fact he kind of falls into the leg, and it's as 1-1, and he falls, no. Well, to be honest though, and I think we've got to also talk about the Ronaldo goal. I believe last season, because Ronaldo's arm was ahead of the ball, obviously now they've said, obviously you can't score with your arm, but that would have been offside last season. I believe under the new rules that would have been offside. So you talk about, we're talking about a couple of challenges today for Manchester United that could constitute a penalty, could not. At the end of the day, I think a lot of us fans are just clueless as to what the rules actually are and how they've changed.
Yeah, like one thing I'll say is just that, the first Ronaldo penalty claim, if that happens anywhere else on the pitch, that's a foul. The ref would have blown for that.
I know which one you're on about now.
So now we're getting into a thing where are fouls viewed differently when they're in the box? Are they viewed differently? Is a foul that you're going to give maybe 20 yards up the pitch towards the halfway line? Is that a foul? If that same foul's committed in the box, is that going to be awarded or not? Do you know what I mean? And that's where it gets a bit weird for me, because I'm telling you now, Paul Pogba didn't even touch Kurt Zouma and they gave a foul. There was no contact in that one at all. Where Ronaldo's first claim, there was contact, but you can see Ronaldo kind of initiated it, but still contact nonetheless. So, I think, I think during this early part of the season, we're going to see a lot of decisions go for clubs and go against clubs. And I think during the season, you'll see something where they'll even it out eventually.
But by the way, guys, for some reason, StreamYard, the comments are not loading up, but I can see the comments in front of you, and we are getting a few. Jack Henderson, who? Of course, we're getting a few of them, and I wish I could get them up on the screen, but I can't because for some reason they're not showing up. So I've got a little pop-up window. But yes, everyone's saying it. A lot of people are saying Henderson, who, and like Will Chan just said, that Atkinson ref is poor. Look, I think like we've just said, it's just a case of now when you have like a foul or a challenge go in the box. Before it was really cut and dry, like you kind of go, oh, that's a penalty. And now it's a case of you're like, I don't know. Like, I think it's a penalty. When I was playing football, it was a penalty. But now is it a penalty? I mean, like the first Ronaldo one, from my interpretation of it, understand why VAR didn't get involved, because that one kind of is a bit subjective. That is one where people are going to look at it and say, okay, that's probably not a pen. Or some people are going to say that's a pen. But the second Ronaldo one, it's not even like it's not even a discussion point. He just got.
But I feel like
it's a slide tackle, and he missed the ball.
Yeah, I feel like with VAR now, though, Owen, like I feel like the ref almost has to give it, and then VAR. If it's kind of, as you say, a subjective call, then if the ref doesn't give it, they're not going to give it. VAR are not going to overturn it, so you almost have to have the ref come in and give the pen. But I know it's easy to say this and bring up the same point, but I do think there's certain players in the league. You look at kind of Wilfried Zaha at Palace. Even like Harry Kane to a degree at Tottenham, like when I think referees are sometimes a little bit kind of anxious to maybe give. They're kind of thinking, should I give this type thing in certain moments of the game? I definitely think Ronaldo falls under that bracket now he's joined us. However, though, I still think when you're at the ground on TV, at least you see the replays. When you're at the ground, it's even worse because they do VAR checks and you're completely, unless it is a stone wall, he's gone in, taking his legs out. Like some of these penalties are so 50-50. Yeah, so 50. Exactly. And you can't tell.
But massive credit David De Gea for making the save. I mean, obviously with the whole, Europa League final thing, he doesn't save penalties. Didn't save, was it like 11 in a row in that one? And you get Mark Noble come on, who is the penalty taker. They showed a little graphic up, scores every single one. The only thing I will say about the Mark Noble penalty is like usually, from what I can recall, he just sort of leathers, just smashes him in, and he didn't do that. But still, it's an unbelievable save. It's a good save from David there. The super chat from KG, he's just come in saying, sorry for putting the phone down, Owen, because I don't know if you saw this, right? KG absolutely murdered me on the match view, right? So he calls me. First of all, he calls me at halftime. First of all, he tried to call Flex. Flex isn't picking up, right? So he calls me reliable. Okay, I'm team player. So I pick up the phone. We're talking, giving a bit of analysis, all this kind of stuff. And then he goes, oh, they're doing this whole, net zero game or whatever at Tottenham Hotspur game today. He goes, what about you? What do you do to keep, your carbon footprint? And I go, to be honest, KG, I should be doing better. I'm thinking about how much water I use. I'm thinking about turning the thermostat down. I went, but I don't. And he was like, oh, it's terrible. And I go, what do you do? And he just hung up on me.
Hey, wow.
Oh,
just hung up on me. Live on stream. And I tell you what, KG, a £2 super chat, not enough. You can't buy me off, mate. All right?
That's poor, KG. That's poor, man.
We got heat. Really reckless. We got beef.
That's reckless. That's reckless.
And next time we're all on one of those things where it's everyone on there. Yeah. Like, oh, okay. I'll just leave. Oh God! Apparently that's how I get treated around here. Shocking. Let's go back to the game because enough about KG. Starting lineup. Obviously, McFred were back with a vengeance. There was a lot of reaction to that on social media. I'll start with you, Jack. This time, was it any surprise that McFred were back today?
Well, I was completely shocked that McTominay's come back from groin surgery as quickly as he has because obviously he had that. He played against Leeds. And then had that bit of time out, but it's only been 4 weeks, and he's pretty much back in the he's back training and in the starting 11. In terms of McFred playing, I'm not really. Every time we kind of, I saw DJ's tweet actually before, and I was going to message you back, bro, but it was quite interesting because he was saying that a lot of people in their predicted lineups had like Sancho in. But if you take Sancho out, it's almost you throw Pogba on the wing and then you can't. We're going McFred. Ollie isn't going to play Donny van der Beek in the pivot. And Donny, I don't. Where is Donny's United career? We could literally do a whole show just on Donny van der Beek because every time the team news comes out, you could put a predicted lineup out. But we all know kind of Ollie's mentality now, and it is just to play them two in the pivot and throw Pogba on the wing if things aren't kind of working. To be honest, the Sancho thing, I wasn't really surprised. I knew Greenwood would come back in. So when I didn't actually think McTominay would be fit. So I would have kind of gone with Pogba in deep midfield. But in terms of the kind of social media response, I think we're all kind of used to it now as United fans with them two playing together. I think McTominay, he played well. But it's hard when I still think Fred lets us down sometimes in terms of releasing the ball. He needs to release the ball a bit quicker in the transitions. I think today, for large parts, we were kind of, especially at the start of that second half from West Ham, you could tell they were getting fatigued. We were kind of sitting there and like, oh, do we take the game to him now? Do we do this? Do we do that? And that's where I was crying out for Ollie to make a sub. I was sitting there. You've got
it
Jesse
took
on
his
the
time.
bench. You've got it's time to make a sub, boys. And but on the whole, them two in the pivot is not surprising. Did it really pay dividends today? I guess we got the 3 points, but it isn't. We got the 3 points through very, very interesting circumstances. So, and Matic did come on for the Jesse Lingard goal. So, if you're talking about the second half, when we're trying to kind of create things, I'm not so sure. But can any of you boys sit here and say that you were surprised that Fred and McTominay played? I'll kind of throw the question to you guys.
No,
this
is the thing. Like DJ messaged me, and he was a bit upset.
Not surprised.
To be fair, bless him. He was upset, but more so not out of the surprise that. I think a lot of people were a bit shocked that, taken aback, like you said, like McTominay, he was under the knife a couple of weeks ago. Like, that's unbelievable.
I was shocked.
He's back.
I thought he was going to be out for 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. But he was back. But I think the thing that, I mean, DJ, you can speak for yourself. I mean, but like the thing that he was a bit upset by, it's just it's the end for Donny, isn't it? Like, you're not playing. I mean, DJ, what do you think?
Yeah, McFred came in, and you know what? I think, in a way, when you have Fred and McTominay, when they play by themselves, when they're not with each other, they do not really play well. Like, when they're in other pairings, they don't really play too well. When they have each other, they do actually play well. And I did think they played well enough today. For them, I thought they played well enough. I think McTominay played really well. It was good to have him back, actually. And
I agree.
I didn't think I'd ever actually say that, but it was actually good to have him back. And you can see what he actually brings to the team now. It's just when the going gets tough for Ollie, when there's a loss or, you know, his starting lineup's questioned, he goes to that old trusted McFred. Because I know with quality, there is a question about their quality, but they're reliable. They are, and they'll cover every blade of grass that you need. And they are sort of a shield for that back four. Even though we've got Varane and stuff like that, there's still a safety net that Ollie wants to deploy when the going gets tough. And when I say going gets tough, I'm talking about Tuesday night when we lost to Young Boys. We shouldn't have lost that game. And, you know, the media pressure, there was talk of Conte, there was talk of Zidane starting to whisper around now. And Ollie's thought, you know what? I'm pumping the brakes on this. McFred, you lot know what you need to do. Reliable, you're going to get in there and do the job. Is that the right midfield pairing? Definitely not, because Matic came on, and as you said, he contributed something right away to the goal that McFred couldn't have done for, I think, 70, 80 minutes or whatever it was. So, you know, I do think we do lose something when they play. However, we're going to see McFred all through the big games this season, you know, Anfield, they're playing if they're fit. Just on Donny, what I was saying about Donny was that I think the Donny debate now can be safely put to bed, guys. And I know we feel for the player. It's done now. His career at United's going to be what it is at the moment. Stop-start, bit by bit. I think he's going to be a Carabao Cup player. I do think he's going to be an FA Cup player. He may come into the Premier League side if there's a serious injury, and hopefully there isn't. And that's the only time I really see Donny playing. If I'm completely honest with you, I think his career, if I was him, I'd be trying to get a move in January. I think that's where we're at now. I think we can start maybe talking about Van der Beek leaving in January. Because it's just clear that he's not part of the plans like that.
Yeah, but exactly. Even as you say, like going forward, even if Donny there was to be a major injury or we're to switch it up a bit, we're still in the market for a centre defensive midfielder where Donny can kind of play in that position. So I totally agree. I think it's been pretty much since last January, you could say that Donny's been kind of an outcast in this United team. And I still, calling Donny van der Beek a Carabao Cup player when you saw what he did at Ajax is just criminal. Absolutely criminal.
I mean, and this is the thing though, isn't it? That, again, there were people that were upset about it, or social media can't believe it. But again, it was like, my response was kind of a shrug, because it was like, well, I'm not surprised. I'd have been stunned if Donny van der Beek, if he started, I'd have been like, that's unbelievable. People were surprised when he started against Young Boys because he just doesn't get picked. I mean, against Newcastle, we had people that weren't available. McTominay was still on the shelf. Fred, for people didn't think he was going to play or be available, and then he was, but obviously they didn't train with him. So we had two midfielders. Donny still didn't play. That just says everything. You picked a guy today that's just come back from surgery. So the idea of like, I can't believe that, you know, Donny didn't play. He was never going to play. He was never, ever going to play. And like you said, I think it's just a case of, if there was, you know, Ollie can come out in the press and he can say these things like, oh, Donny's got a part to play and he's going to play games and it's about working your way in. But if you're consistently just not being picked, that just speaks volumes, doesn't it? That's it.
Yeah, it speaks volumes.
It. He's just not going to play. And, you know, even you feel for him because when he did get his opportunity in the week, it'd be like, right, this is a good opportunity. See if he can kind of force his way in. And then that game just turned to shit. Like, that's what happens. You know, that was it. And that was it. And that was it, you know, so you feel bad for him.
Yeah, I do feel that a decision we made, I think, with January in mind, but it also depends on Pogba. I think that's why they're holding Van der Beek a little while longer, because they want to see what Pogba's going to do. I think if Pogba comes out and says, yeah, I'm extending for 2-3 years or whatever it is, then I think they'll be like, yeah, all right, Van der Beek, you can go now. But if Pogba does leave, then Van der Beek will then Ollie will then say, yeah, I think this is his time, and they'll market it as if, you know, this was the plan all along, but we'll see.
But even if Pogba did say that and was like, all right, I'm off, and he leaves in the summer, I still think we'd try and buy someone to replace Pogba. Like Donny's position, I wouldn't be like, I don't think they'd be like, all right, Pogba, you know, he's gone. Donny, now's your chance. He'd be like, well, I've been waiting long enough, guys. It's been like 2 years. Like, I'm on a 5-year deal. Like, you know, nobody thought he was going to take like 2/5 of the time to actually start playing for Manchester United. I mean, it's just, you just get the impression it's just, again, his spot is very clear at this point. And
it's done the writings on the wall for me.
And I don't know about you, and just like I said, every time a team comes out and he's not in it and the outrage is there, it's kind of a case of like, yeah, but what did you expect? It's like waking up and going, the sun came out today. I can't believe it. You know, that's what happens. That's the situation. But we'll talk about the first goal. Of course, West Ham went 1-0 up with the deflection. I mean, what did you guys think about that? Start with you, Jack. Can we done anything about that? I mean, it's unfortunate, isn't it?
It's so unfortunate. I think I would almost say at that point, I think we had 7 shots on target in the first half, and Ronaldo had about 5-6 shots on his own. And I would say, you know, it's similar to the Kay Adams one early on in the season, Southampton away. Like, it's just unfortunate. Like, the kind of, it comes off Varane, doesn't it? Like, he's hit it a bit kind of wayward, and De Gea is just scrambling, and as the ball's kind of deflected, you know it's going in that corner, and it's unfortunate. But to be fair, I think we dealt with the response well. I think we responded well, because we easily could have thought, you know, we've gone 1-0 down again against the run of play. But Bruno's ball for Ronaldo, and that's another thing I think we need to bring up now, the kind of Bruno Ronaldo partnership coming to fruition, because I do think they've definitely got kind of something going now, and they're kind of, everyone says for Portugal, the link up's not really there, this and that, but I think they're kind of proving the doubt was wrong with their kind of link up in recent games.
I mean, I saw you say that on your fan view in the week. You said, like, at least one positive we can take is that Bruno and Ronaldo, the idea that they can't link up, it's kind of laughable, really. I mean, world-class players can play with world-class players. They find a way, and they know each other well. I mean, DJ, what do you think about that, like, criticism? Because I think it's just slander. We're just getting used to it at this point. Ronaldo's finished. He scored again today. You know, Bruno, his numbers are going to go down. He got an assist again today. Like, I mean, obviously, like I said, the deflection, it happened. But, I mean, DJ, what do you think about the reaction? Because, I mean, even before that, we'd hit the post. We were threatening a little bit.
No. As I said, I do think we played some really good football today. The response was expected. And you know what? Actually, this United team does have character. You know, we do have a lot of flaws here and there, and there's some holes in the team. But these boys do have character, and we're going to go down. And for me as a fan, I wasn't really fazed. I was like, okay, it's unfortunate. We'll get this back. And the boys responded really well. And, you know, Ronaldo, Bruno link up is definitely thriving now. I think they're the two, them two and De Gea are our 3 player starters that are definitely starting every single game humanly possible. I also want to shout out Varane. I thought Varane had a solid game. Everything on his side, he cleared up. It was just his partner, and I guess we'll get into that a bit later, but his partner kind of was letting him down. Even the deflected goal, I still didn't blame Varane. I thought he played quite tidy, and you can see how like the leveling quality between him and Maguire. It's such a, I wouldn't say there's a gulf, but there is a difference. There's a clear difference. Like, everything on Varane's right-hand side was cleaned up, tidied. He was confident in possession, rarely gave the ball away, didn't dither on it. He was linking up with the midfield. So, good performance by him too.
I mean, pick it up. I mean, with the Maguire performance, I mean, is it a case of now, like, so last season when you've got Lindelof and Maguire, especially when Maguire went out towards the end of the season, you went, oh, Maguire's actually, you know, he's holding it together back there, because once it got to like Lindelof and Bailly, he just turned to a mess. So Maguire comes back and you go, okay, Maguire's doing his bit. And now it's a case of, like, I don't know about you, but, like, now that there is a world-class centre-back in there, you kind of maybe see the real level of Harry Maguire, and it's kind of a case of, okay, there are levels to this, right?
Yeah, there's levels. Yeah, I just think it's bad habits as well. I think Maguire does have a few tendencies that get him in trouble. You know, he's not, as we all know it. Everyone and their mother knows that Harry Maguire isn't the fastest centre back in the world, and he never will be. However, you know what he does make up for that is his aerial ability. You know, he does sort of read the game pretty well at times. But for me, it's just he's very lethargic on the ball, especially when opposition teams are pressing. Like he's very, very lethargic. And I think it's happened a few times already this season. His pocket's been picked literally towards goal, and it's nearly ended up in a goal for the opposition team. And that is something that he really needs to get out of his game. I personally, as a fan, would love to see him with a bit of urgency on the ball, you know, looking, scanning, seeing where he can pick a pass. It's all very slow, lethargic. And with teams that are aggressive and teams that want to attack United and get in our face, we cannot be doing that at the back. We can't be playing and messing around. So he does need to step it up.
What do you think of Maguire's performance, Jack? Yeah,
100% agree with the whole when teams press us, because I also think he just dilly-dallies a lot at the back. You feel like passing it back to De Gea and it's like, oh, I've got nowhere to go, I'll play it out to Wan-Bissaka. And we did that a lot today. It was kind of, you know, Lindelof, I will give him his credit. When he did play with Maguire last season, he's always looking for that ball over the top and he'll play it over. And obviously,
against Leeds.
Yeah, when he played that ball. And I just, when you're talking about Varane and Maguire, I think you can easily see, even just a Newcastle game last week, Varane coming in for his home debut, like watching him live, like you could just see the levels. And it is almost last season, we were like, Maguire used to play the ball out quite a lot and try and go forward with a bit more urgency. I almost think that Varane's kind of put him on his pedestal now and said, you know, I'm here to kind of soak it all up. He looks so calm, composed and assured on the ball. I said it in my fan view, actually, when Ronaldo made his debut last weekend. He oozes confidence. You can see how much he's a serial winner. You could see that he's been in them big moments, big games. And I think we're only just seeing the kind of early makings of Raphael Varane. He's only 28 years old, but he has been in so many big moments. And I think towards the kind of latter stages of this season, when we're kind of getting into them bigger games, you kind of Liverpool, because that's the thing, boys. We're looking at the fixtures we played this season. We haven't really played anyone. I hate to say it. We haven't come up yet against one of the so-called kind of, you know, the kind of top four teams we're competing with. But I definitely think we're talking about Maguire's flaws. I think Maguire can only learn off the best, and Varane's going to only make him better. So I think we're looking at it now kind of Maguire's having to kind of learn off Varane, but it's only going to get better for him. And I think definitely the latter stages of this season, if we go find certain tournaments, I think Varane, I'm so happy we've got him, because we needed that assured. Bailly was so injury prone, and Bailly just does what Bailly does. He'd make a slide tackle in the 89th minute and give it. He was nearly scoring own goals left, right, and centre last season. I remember last season, actually, like Eric Bailly, the Fulham game. I don't know how I'll point that out, but he nearly scored an own goal. Literally, we're 2-1 up when Pogba scored. I just think of that. But with Varane, I feel confident with Varane and Maguire. I totally agree with your boys' points on Maguire's performance today. But I think going forward, you've got a centre-back partner now that you can wholly trust. And Raphael Varane is definitely the kind of player we needed to bring in.
Yeah, I'm quite worried about Maguire when we go up against Chelsea. I think Lukaku might have a field day with him. That is something that we're going to have to prepare for and plan for, because if you could switch him around, if you could put Varane on Lukaku's side, obviously he doesn't play that side, but if he did, I'd be way more comfortable. But Lukaku against
I do agree. I think the biggest thing about Maguire, as opposed to Varane, is putting Maguire against pace and strength. More so pace, I would say. But 100%, Lukaku's not the type of player that Maguire. I sometimes think as well, like on corners, when we're defending corners, you've got to stay with your man a bit more. Like Maguire kind of just ventures around like Lindelof used to do. And I feel like you've got to stick with your man. Like, if today wasn't really the greatest example of that, but we've had games in the past, even against young boys, like just stay with your man at in certain moments. But yeah, no, I totally agree. I think more so against the top teams, and it's just going to be interesting to see how kind of we respond to playing against better teams. But West Ham are no mugs. I don't want to say we're sitting here and saying West Ham are not a poor side. They're in Europe for a reason, obviously playing in the Europa League, but they had a good win midweek. But I really do think the fatigue factor kicked in, and I'm so glad we did capitalise, because if we would have been sitting here after a 1-1, obviously it could have been 2-2 if the penalty went in, but I would have been absolutely devastated, because it definitely would have been a case of 2 points dropped and not 1 point gained.
Yeah.
It would have definitely been interesting if Antonio had played to see how Maguire.
We're talking about pace and strength. Exactly. Maguire.
Exactly. That would have been the perfect example. That would have been the perfect example, because I think you're right. I mean, the positive thing I think is that games like, I mean, we did beat West Ham last season, but games like that in the past of the games we dropped points, I'm confident for us to go up against like your Liverpool's, your Cities, your Chelsea, because our record's good.
Yes,
our record is good. Because we'll just play counter-attacking football, and that's what we do. When we have to actually have quite a lot of possession, that's games like today, that's when it gets boring, because it's slow, it's laborious, and a couple of passes, they look around, nobody's there. I'll cut inside if I'm sure, or Wan-Bissaka, I'll go back, centre-backs can have it again, starts all over again, and you kind of get to that point where it is like, well, this is slow. But against a bigger team, again, our record's pretty good. So I agree with you. I think like a Maguire against Lukaku is worrying, and it would have been interesting to see if Antonio played today, but look, got the win. Who cares? Move on. When it comes back to Ronaldo, actually, with that first goal, I mean, like I said before, can we just like the people that are they'll continue now, it doesn't matter, but they'll still continue to slag off Ronaldo, saying he's past it, he's finished, he can't score goals. I mean, when will that actually ever end? It's ridiculous, isn't it?
I just think that this whole narrative around Ronaldo and people saying he's too old and he's not going to be able to do it, you just got to laugh, because, like, is water wet? Of course it is. Like, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. he's going to score goals. Do you know what I mean? And I said he's Thanos. Like, he wants all the accolades. He wants all the trophies. He wants all the recognition. And this man, again, has scored yet again in a game for Manchester United. He's only been here 5 minutes. And he scored again. And, you know, and I think people are still trying to think this is Ronaldo from Real Madrid in 2015, 2017, or even when he came to us in 2003. Like, no, this is a different player now. However, he's more of a goal scorer now. Before, he was more of like a creator. He would score goals, but he was more of a creator, and, you know, he'd wow the fans. But he just means business. When he's in that box, you best be on your P's and Q's, because he will score. And I think the top teams, and I think it's good that we've got now this ensemble cast of young, talented players around him, because who are they going to mark? When we go against the big teams, who are they going to mark? Yeah, the focus will be on Ronaldo, but you've got Greenwood will pop up. You've got Rashford when he gets back. Bruno's there. Pogba's there. So Ronaldo, for me, he did what he needed to do today. He played in moments, I'd say, little flashes here and there. And
but that's all you need. That's
exactly,
all you need.
Yeah. And I think he does a lot of damage when he's in the box, when he's got that defender squared. Because what he did to Zuma today, he skinned him a few times. And let's say if he was here a season earlier, he probably might have had 2 or 1 penalty today. So I was pleased with his performance.
Yeah. What do you make of Ronaldo today, Jack?
Well, a lot of people on social media, non-United fans mainly, you know, always coin the term tapping merchant, because he's kind of, the goals he scores, it's the runs he makes. Even they were showing in the halftime analysis about what's the word? The kind of the way his footballing brain works. Even
it's anticipation. It's anticipation.
Anticipation to just stay on side, and he knows when to make that run. And you can call him tapping merchant, this and that. He is a big moments player. I said it even before he made his debut on one of our first shows for Deadline Day, and I'll stick by that point. I think Ronaldo, definitely, he's one of them players, and you don't get many where you can sit there, as you say, and it might be, he hasn't really done a lot. It's been 70 minutes. He hasn't really done a lot, but it's that one moment, and you know he's going to take his chance. You know he's going to put his dinner away. And again, I do agree with DJ on the whole. I think he played in moments today, but people say he's a different type of player. Of course he is. Like 2015 Real Madrid was Ronaldo's prime. But for 36 years of age, we're not getting any less of a player. We're getting a more intelligent player.
He's not your average 36-year-old, is he?
He's not your average 36-year-old when you see what he does off the ball mainly as well. And you know, the kind of, I think it galvanizing the dressing room is putting it lightly. Like Cristiano Ronaldo is such a big impact player, and he will just carry on doing what he does. That's what 4 goals in 3 games now. He scored in every game he's played for us. Let it continue as long as it possibly can, because I just love all the rival fans sitting on social media saying this and that about Cristiano Ronaldo. He will be up there for the Golden Boot. I genuinely believe he'll be up there with 100%. Kane and Lukaku. And you know, what a play we've got on our hands, and we feel so blessed to actually say Cristiano Ronaldo's. It's still mental, but Ronaldo obviously being back in United shirt is great.
Yeah, I think one of the remarkable things is he's actually now a little bit more Van Nistelrooy-ish than he was actually Cristiano Ronaldo at his time at Manchester United. And he learned from, and for those United fans that don't know who Van Nistelrooy is, just Google him, YouTube him. One of the amazing strikers that have actually come to the club. Clinical. If you look at clinical in a dictionary, he's under there. And Ronaldo learned off him for quite a young age. And it's kind of like it's all come full circle now that he's that type of player. You know, he slowed down a little bit. He's still fast, but he slowed down a little bit. He's more around the box. He's scoring the tap-ins, but I like his anticipation. I saw I can't remember who had a shot today, but the camera was on Ronaldo, and he gambles. He gambles all the time. He thinks the keeper's going to spill it anyway, so he'll gamble and he'll run. And you know, we're going to see a lot of that this season. So yeah, rival teams need to beware, and the slander, whatever.
Exactly, the slander. We're not listening.
Whatever. We're not listening.
No, it's just. I mean, even his goal, keeper spills it. You know, some players don't follow that up. You know, and he does. That's what he does. Even this goal last week against Newcastle, they're like, oh, you know, the keeper spilled it, but he's the only one following that in. Defenders don't do it. He does it. He scores. That's just the moments like that. He is a moments player, but I defy you to find a 36-year-old that can do that. And he's still like, people go, he's 36. He's not walking around in a Zimmer frame. No. Sake. Like, you know what I mean? It's
nowhere
like,
near.
I wish I looked like that now, let alone 36. It's ridiculous. Like they said, like Solskjaer said in his stats, he went, it's not as if he's slow. He's not slow. I mean, you know, he's like, the guy's like, he's ridiculous. I mean, I just thought that whole Ronaldo stuff, like, put it this way, Man City drew nil yesterday. If they'd have had a Cristiano Ronaldo, chances are they'd have probably won 1-0. Right, that's the difference. That's the difference. And those people that are just saying that he's old, he's past it, well, they're just bitter because Man United are back. That's why.
Exactly.
2-1. Jesse Lingard gets the goal. I mean, Jesse Lingard. It was a substitution by Solskjaer, 72 minutes, which again, a bit late for me. Bit late. He took his time, but when you make the substitution of Sancho and Lingard on for Pogba and Greenwood, it has to pay off, right? Because I saw some people that were like, oh, he's bringing Lingard on for like Pogba or whatever. It's like, that's got to pay off. That's got to pay off. And it did. I mean, it's an unbelievable goal, isn't it, DJ? I mean, it's a proper world-class goal.
And you know what? I think today's the day where we as United fans need to, you know, stand up and actually, you know, recognize and recognize who Jesse Lingard is. And I know you know what, I'll speak for myself here. For a long time, I wanted to deny it. For a long time, I berated him and I thought, I'll sell him. And an element of that still resides within me. However, I have to say that he's scored those type of goals before. This ain't a fluke. Jesse Lingard does that. In the box, he will always shift it to the right and he'll bury it top bins. And he's done that a few times in his career at United. Not as often as we would like, but he has done that. He is capable of that little bit of magic. Who remembers the FA Cup game where he put it in the top bins? Like
Palace.
He's capable of this. And, you know, I think it's good management from Oli now, because some managers have to go against the tide of what the fan base want and what the supporters and the analysts are saying. And Oli has done that. And he said, you know what, I'm keeping him. I'm going to use him. And what he's done is use that momentum. He's used his confidence. Yeah, Jesse, go and get me a goal. Because Jesse is that guy. Like, Jesse will pop up with a goal. And he is, and I said it, I think a few weeks ago, I do think he can be our impact sub player. I don't think he's a starter, but I do think he can be that impact sub player where teams are tired, a little bit of movement, a little bit of brilliance, a little bit of magic inside the box, final third. He can be your guy. So I think Oli, for me, he scores a perfect score there. Apart from, I do think Lingard should have maybe come on around the 60th minute, not 70. 70's too, there's not enough time left. Something needs to be earlier.
I mean, Jack, I mean, what did you think? I mean, talk about going from zero to hero. I mean, let's make no mistake, he does cost us the game on Tuesday night because it's his mistake, but then he wins us the game on Sunday. It's not bad, is it?
No, well, the finish was immaculate, but I think the biggest thing with Jesse is when Rashford comes back in, we've got and it's not really just Jesse Lingard, but we've got so many attacking options now. It's how Ollie's going to rotate going forward through the season, because you're even looking, you know, for instance, striker. Obviously, we've got Ronaldo, Cavani, Martial, who can play in that number 9 role. Even Greenwood sometimes plays there. It's going to be so interesting to see how he kind of goes with it. Because I think there is going to have to be that element of rotation, because I do agree what DJ's saying, like Jesse is an impact sub, but I think Jesse wants to be more than that. I do think he wants to have more of an influence, and that's why I was surprised that he didn't maybe, I'm not saying force through the West Ham move, but obviously the West Ham fans, he had a great loan spell there last year, and I think for the most part, United fans would have respected that. If he moved to West Ham in the summer before he even played for us this season, he would have respected that. He had his loan spell last season and we all wanted him to do well, and he did well. But I do just think the kind of rotation policy now is, as you say, Owen, we've got so many, you know, attacking talents, as we've just mentioned. It's how you fit them all into one team, because we've now got Ronaldo is undroppable. He is. Yeah. We're talking about Premier League games here, because I do think, for instance, obviously we've got the Carabao Cup coming up in midweek. I think they're going to be the types of games where Jesse will come in, and actually Van der Beek is going to get his one appearance of the season, because they're the games. He's literally his lifeline. He'll come in and start. But I think for the most part, the Premier League games, I think it's just going to be hugely it's a great problem for Ollie to have. But you look at Jesse's goal today and you think, is he making a stake for a place in the starting 11? Probably. In most other teams, yes, but we've just got such an abundance of attacking talent with young players who are hungry, and it's really difficult to squeeze him in. But, I mean, but nonetheless, I'm not taking nothing away from his performance.
I know, man. I was going to say, like, to be honest, though, I've been a bit not harsh. Well, I don't think I've been harsh, but I've been critical of Lingard, because, in my opinion, I'm like, he should have forced for a move, and I don't think that would have been, again, United 100%. Fans. I think not in the case of get out of the club, but I think they would have welcomed it, because again, it's just a case of there are a lot of people ahead of you. That's it. There's a lot of people ahead of you, and my feeling was when like Ollie and other people were saying, he's playing for England now, scoring goals. It's like, that's great, but there's a World Cup coming up in just under 18 months' time, and do we really think he's going to be in that squad? If he's not playing games for United, probably not. And that's part of the reason he didn't make the squad for the Euros when it comes to England. But, you know, he scored 2 goals in 2 Premier League games coming off the bench, which that's hard to argue about, isn't it? You know, we talk about Donny van der Beek whenever he gets his very limited opportunities, taking his chances. It's difficult to do more than that, than come on and score goals, especially the goal that he scored. We talk about tap-ins. That's no tap-in. Yeah. That's taking someone on and whipping it in the top corner. I mean, that's quality.
Yeah, the biggest thing for Jesse Lingard as well is, I'm talking about his performances, like kind of not just today, but this season when he's made cameos. His last season, even before he went to West Ham on loan, it was a big confidence thing for him. We know he's got that in the locker, but confidence wasn't there for Jesse. Now you're looking at him and thinking he really can be. Like, he's coming off the bench 18 months ago, you know, kind of project restart. Jesse Lingard's coming on and you're sitting there like, we're bringing on Jesse Lingard. Like, it's not, because I quite like Jesse Lingard, but I know the majority of our fan base and how it kind of works, you know, with the player. But now you're looking at it thinking he can make an impact. And when he scores goals like that, he does it more for England, actually. That's because he's obviously given more of a run out by Southgate, but he scored goals like that for England. And you can't doubt his talent when he's putting that top bins. That's a hard finish. That is a hard finish, and he's made that look effortless. And the way he cuts inside, I'd almost like Sancho, like, to kind of learn off him from that little 5 minutes he had. Kind of Sancho, you'd like him to cut in and have a shot, because I think the appearances Sancho's made this season, you almost want him to take a snapshot and have a go at goal, because you know he's got that in the locker as well. But I think Sancho's kind of getting to that level of gaining a bit of confidence. But Jesse you can't doubt his ability one bit. And it's just a confidence thing with him. But I'm really glad he's stepping it up. I just don't really know. I think there is a bit of kind of fogginess in the future about what his Manchester United career really entails, because who knows if he's going to be a mainstay in the team going forward. But I really hope he's just happy and he's scoring goals for us. That's all we can ask for as fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, because you go back to when when we had that last game of the season against Leicester to get us in the make us finish third or whatever, and he scored and all that kind of stuff. It was like that was the first time he scored a goal or even done anything in like 18 months, and Ollie was there sort of clapping, being like, "Oh, well done, Jesse," because everyone was like, "Oh, Jesse, he's actually done something." But now it's changed, hasn't it? It has changed. I mean, speaking of Sancho, because it's a good segue to that. I mean, we were talking just before we went live, DJ, that when it comes to Sancho, there's been quite a few people, again, going back to like social media, some Man United fans being a bit critical of Sancho so far. In my opinion, it's way too early, considering that it's 4 games, 5 games, whatever it may be. Yeah. But I mean, do they have is there even an element of truth behind the Sancho criticism, do you think?
No, for me, no. You just got to look at the Premier League is the toughest football league there is. He's coming from the German league, where he played well and he had 3 years to bed in at that. And if you really look at his first season at Dortmund, he didn't really perform too well. It was all about building up and getting confidence. Obviously, he was much younger then. I do feel that, he's a fantastic footballer, and he's just bedding in. He's just got to get bedded in. He's got to get a few games under his belt. He's got to link with the players, and that is just gonna come with time. And what I do like about him, I can see he's sort of low on confidence at the moment, but what I do like about him is he's playing it quite simple. So he's going to build himself up. I just think United fans, very reactionary. Just give him at least a couple of games more. Give him 10 games where we can have a good look at him. Every first season, sometimes it's slow for some players. Every player is different. Look at Martial. He came on bursting to the scene in his first season, and it hasn't quite been the same since after. He's been a bit stop-start. Sancho, he needs to bed in. He'll have time. And now he's dealing with a massive squad of stars. So he's not the main guy or the number 2 guy. At Dortmund, he was very much the number 2 guy just behind Haaland. But he's in a squad now where there's Bruno, there's Pogba, there's Ronaldo. There's all these senior guys above him, and in the pecking order of who's the man here. So let him bed in, guys. Just give him time. I'm really not worried about him, to be honest. I really am not worried about him.
Yeah, Jack, what do you think of Sancho so far? Do you think the criticism has been a bit harsh?
Yeah, 100%. I think we're just saying he was younger. He's 21. He's not exactly
He's 21,
old.
that's exactly.
Like, even, 3 years playing at that age, we talk about kind of young players like now. It's really, really difficult, because I think there is... Sancho, if he goes to most other teams in the Premier League, he will be the kind of poster boy, and he'll have that pressure. And I almost think that he is, to a degree, the poster boy at United, in terms of we bought him with the 73 million. We've been looking at him for, the past couple of summer windows, and, the transfers finally happened. And I think the majority of our fan base, me included, I am going to sit here and say, I think you're almost sitting there thinking, like, we've seen the player he is at Dortmund. Why isn't he doing this for us? But then you almost have to take a back step and think he's got to have time to bed in. And I'm just echoing again what DJ has said, because it's totally truthful. It's you can't expect him to pull up trees straight away. And I think he is almost these times not starting in the 11 will make him will be an experience that he'll take on board, and it will make him a better player in the future. Because starting today, I'm not exactly shocked Sancho didn't start, because I don't think he played too well in midweek. Obviously, the red card kind of hindered him, because he had to come off really when Wan-Bissaka got sent off in midweek. But I do think the kind of performances, it's just so early to say. And when you look at what he does on the ball in spells, you can see the ability right there. He's very clean on the ball. He likes to play them 2-3 yard passes, bit of tiki-taka, but it's not maybe coming off at this moment in time. But the guy's 21, guys, relax. Everyone needs to relax, take a back seat, and just watch this guy flourish. He's got Cristiano Ronaldo, he's got Edinson Cavani. If he's talking about his attacking game, I know they play in different positions, but in terms of the attacking side of the game, he's learning off the best. So just give him time and he'll bed himself in.
Yeah, I agree. I think also as well. I think if anything, he's fortunate because imagine we hadn't had signed Ronaldo, he would have been
Yes,
the focus, the
exactly.
poster.
That's
He's not playing well. 75 million. What's going on? What's going on? Now it's a case of everyone's just focused on Ronaldo. You kind of not that you forget about Sancho, but he's just there,
Yeah.
and it does give him an opportunity to bed it. And sometimes we have it. I think with a lot of players. Not many players come in and just do a Bruno Fernandes and just come in, bang, team's better, he's amazing, boom. It very rarely happens like that. Players, they take time. Whether it's a case of, like you said, a couple of games, sometimes a season. He is 21. I mean, he's a bit of almost like a freak in the sense that he went to Dortmund so young and managed to like break into the first team quickly. It is going to take time. And you talk about, like, some people say getting used to how Manchester United play. And then the counter argument to that is, how do we play? What patterns of play are there? Trying to figure that out. But look, I think people that after like 4 games, because I saw it after like the Young Boys game, they were like, Sancho, 75 million, I'll rip it up. And you're like, man, like four games, it's like there's no time at all. It really is no time at all. So I think from my point of view, like you said, like the best thing about Man United this season is in those attacking positions, if he is a bit off it and if it is taking time, just swap him out. We've got plenty of people to come on and we've got plenty of people to come in. And that's part of the point, that he will get there eventually and he's got plenty of time to get there. Even if it does take like a year or 2 years, he'll be 23. You know, it's still no age. So, like you guys, I'm not worried that he's going to be, you know, he's going to be this big flop or anything like that. I think we just need to give him time. And if anything, we've learned over the last like week or so, it's just wait till the next game. Don't be reactionary. Let it simmer down.
Yeah, but it's also playing for Manchester United and also adjusting to the Premier League, as we've said, because space and time on the ball is not afforded as much here. Like in Germany, kind of when Dortmund, for the majority of games, you're saying obviously they play Bayern like twice a season, but the majority of games they have, you know, kind of they're up against kind of, I'm not going to say lesser defenders, but you just look at the tempo of the two leagues. I think the Bundesliga is a good league to watch, but the Premier League is different completely in terms of the step up in class. You get them world-class defenders, and Sancho just needs to, we're just waiting as United fans for that one game, that one cup game. Could be Wednesday night. He could come. He needs to get a goal, get an assist, something, and then that will give him the confidence to kick on. But I almost think, you know, as you say, Owen, like if he doesn't play, it will make him hungrier, and that's what we want. We want competition. We want Greenwood to be sitting there like, Ollie, why aren't you playing me? Like, come back in. He's been on good form. Didn't play him midweek. You know, kind of just rotation is going to be absolutely key this season, but also competition and keeping players hungry. And I think Sancho falls into that category as well. I totally agree with your point, though, about the fact that we've bought him for this much money and he's been a signing we've looked at for so long. If Ronaldo didn't come in, he would have literally been the scapegoat.
Oh, yeah.
He would have been the scapegoat.
100%.
And I'm glad almost that he's not.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he starts,
Karen.
Sorry.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. Would you start him in the week? Yeah. That was going to be my question.
Yeah, 100%. I think he comes into the team. I think Mason will start as well. I think Martial will start. And it sounds crazy. Martial. I think Ronaldo will be on the bench, in my opinion. I do think he'll be on the bench.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a bad. I don't think that's necessarily.
I don't think he throws his toys out the pram on that one. I don't think he goes, "What? I'm not starting in the Carabao Cup third round. How dare you?" But then again, you say that he's not starting, but I wouldn't be shocked I wouldn't be shocked at all, because obviously the games go straight to penalties as well in the League Cup. But if it's 60, 65 minutes and it's 0-0, Ronaldo's coming on.
Yeah,
Ronaldo's going to be telling Ollie this and that. It don't matter if it's.
He'll have his tracksuit. He'll be from the first minute. He's going to be running up and down the touchline, warming up, just frightening the opposition players. But I do think Sancho will start, and I know this ain't sort of like a preview, but I don't think I'm guessing it'll be just a front three of Martial, Sancho, and Greenwood, and the midfield. I think Van der Beek might come in with Matic. Number 10. Might be.
Well, you could put Jesse.
Bruno.
Put Jesse. Just throw Jesse in there.
Yeah, Jesse. And that way we're resting a lot of players. I love the strength in depth, guys, because players can actually have a legitimate rest, and we're not worrying about. And the quality doesn't dip necessarily. It's going to be the same. Well, obviously, in the case of Ronaldo, you're never going to get the same, are you? But you know, what I mean, the quality is going to be up there. So, I think we should start him.
I think Cavani might start in the week as well. Obviously, he had his knock.
Yeah,
But
if he's back,
Ollie
yeah.
said that he was going to be probably back in training Monday, possibly, and be involved Wednesday. So we've got Cavani to bring back. I mean, it's like this embarrassment of riches. It really is. We'll finish up on Ollie though, because obviously there was a lot of criticism. Well, there was a lot of criticism in the week. I was going to say there was some, because there was people that I think on both sides of it. Like, in my opinion, did he manage the game right on Tuesday? Probably not. We lost, right? I do think individual errors play into it. Some of the substitutions were bizarre, and he could have handled that game better. But there were a lot of people like, oh, breaking point, get rid of him. And I was like, it's the first game of the Champions League. Let's pipe down. All that kind of stuff. Oh, he's going to go tomorrow, isn't he? That kind of thing. Now, Jack, do you think that silences those people, or do you think it's just a case of people will go, oh, we got lucky? That's the response, isn't it? He got lucky.
Well, I think Ollie, the amount of pressure he's been under just over, parts of his tenure in general, I don't think he really listens to the noise from the media or fans or this and that. He always kind of, and one thing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does, I remember actually last season when we were going on a bit of a poor run and we beat Everton, he'll always get a result. He'll always come up with something when the going gets tough, as they say. Like, he's under pressure. He's got media scrutiny, scrutiny from the fan base. But if I'm looking at midweek, Owen, like, he can't coach Jesse's back pass to the to the forward.
Exactly.
Like, that's the moment we lost the game. And I do, like DJ said earlier on, like, we didn't deserve to lose the game, because I think we defended well with 10 men. A point was the least we deserved out of that. Young boys, were pressing us, this and that, but the kind of quality wasn't there. And then Jesse does that at the end, and you can't coach that. I think Ollie, when bad things happen, Ollie will always be the one thrown under the bus straight away. But when United win games, it's almost like today we're sitting here like Ollie's at the wheel again. And I think there's kind of that.
People are like,
balance.
oh, just he got lucky. Oh, individual brilliance. But individual errors, that's Ollie's fault. But individual brilliance, that's not his fault. That's not his fault.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
And I would say the fans who do think like that, I'm not, you see people on social media with that United fans thinking like that. I just think you can't, there's the fine balance between both. There's realism, but there's also, you've got to get high when we win. Like, you can't be sitting here saying, oh, Ollie got lucky, this and that. Like, we're all sitting here absolutely gassed that we've won, and obviously a penalty save at the end is, I don't see why it's always about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I have had my reasons for being Ollie out, this and that. And I do think maybe with different managers, there is that argument, could they get more out of the current crop of players we've got? It's an interesting debate. But whilst we're winning games of football, like, we've gone 29 games unbeaten away from home. I know that's an easy just cop out to say that, but teams don't do that. It's really difficult to sustain a period of games like that. And I don't think we can be sitting here thinking Ollie out, Ollie in. Just let this. We're 5 games into the season. We can't be having them debates yet. None of the big cup games have been played. If we get knocked out on Wednesday, I think even if we were to make changes, that's why I think Ollie might go stronger than a lot of people think, because I do think there will be pressure to bring some sort of trophy home. Yes, the Carabao Cup is not what we want to win, but it's almost like you're waiting. All these Ollie outers are waiting for that next moment just to throw Ollie under the bus. Because today it's almost like, oh yeah, I can kind of slate him for maybe making the substitutions too late, this and that. But we've won the game, and DJ's disappeared because I've been going on for about 3-4 minutes about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But yeah, Owen, I completely think it's.
I think when it comes to Solskjaer,
it's not judged properly.
Yeah, well, and also as well, I think I'm like I said before, when it comes to Solskjaer, do I think there are better coaches out there? 100%. Could we have a better manager? 100%. If we got a better manager would we do better? Probably. We don't know that. DJ's back. But when it comes down to all of that judgment can't happen now. That has to happen at the end of the season, or if we go out the Champions League in the group stage, I'm with you. And I'd be like, tell you what, that's not good enough. If we're miles off it when it comes to the league, I'm with you, because we should be challenging, but we're not. we're joint top of the league right now, and there's plenty of games to go in the Champions League. And I know that's maybe not the most popular opinion, or people want people to come on streams like this and be like, get rid of the manager, he's not good enough. I'm not saying he is good enough, but I'm just saying, let's be realistic. He's not going tomorrow. He's not going to go. Even if we'd lost today, he wouldn't go tomorrow. He just signed a 3-year contract. Not that means anything, but again, it's just this case of he's got to go tomorrow. We've got to get in contact. We've got to get in Zidane. Maybe we will, but it's not happening right now. And like you said, when we win, we just got to go, we won. Great.
We've got to be on a high. We've got to be.
Exactly. I mean, DJ, what do you think when it comes to Ollie?
Yeah, being a Manchester United is a thankless job at the moment for him. I think at the start of his tenure, like, he's had pressure from day one, literally from day one. Every game's a must win. His back's been against the wall maybe several times now. And if you wanted to sort of like look at the criteria that the board wanted from a Manchester United manager in terms of achievements, the only thing he hasn't achieved is a trophy. You know, there's all this getting back into Europe. He did that. There was all this revamping the squad. He did that. There was all this bringing quality, attract top stars. He's done that. He's kind of ticked most of the boxes that's been required of him. That is why he will not be going tomorrow, even if we lost, even if we go on a 3-game bounce, God forbid. Like, he's not going out. Exactly what you said, Owen. He's not going to be like, oh, well, all right, guys, well, let's listen to the fans. I'm going tomorrow. Nah, he's done a lot of good for the club, which we haven't seen done in the last, 7 years or whatever it's been. He's done a lot of positive for this club. You can tell he's a manager that's still in development. And I know a lot of people are like, no, we need managers that are winners and stuff like that. But we tried that already. We tried to bring in Mourinho and LVG, two of the biggest coaches in world football, and they couldn't even get the job done. But we're getting this ex-player, this ex-legend that's come to the club. He knows the team. He knows Manchester United. He knows all the DNA. He got rid of a lot of deadwood. There's probably still a few more he needs to get rid of. But on the surface of things, I think we can honestly say that this Manchester United team, squad depth-wise and stars and talent-wise, is probably the best it's ever been. And now it's about him and the boys together trying to get over that final line of winning something. So give the man his time. We've got to give him props when he deserves it. And yes, he's going to make mistakes. Every manager does. But we've got to give him his flowers when he does do something great. I think today's win was a tough win, as we all predicted. And we got the job done. So just on to the next. That's it.
Exactly.
I agree. Well, look, guys, we've been going for an hour. It hasn't just gone like that so quickly.
Really
so quickly.
Yeah,
It flies by. But look, guys, be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As mentioned, there is a Carabao Cup game coming the week. The games are coming thick and fast at this point. So there's going to be a ton of content coming throughout the week. I'm sure the fan view is going to be coming up probably in the next couple of hours or so. Flex has been at the ground today. So plenty of content coming up. We'll speak with you again very soon. Peace.